Turn my mic on. What is happening, everybody? It is Thursday night, and I've got a great special guest. Kairos will be here in a minute. Um, what's up, Shapu? Oh, he's getting situated, looks like. I'm going to add him in there.
Hello.
Hello, man. What's happening?
What a great day. What a great day. And an opportunity to speak freely about some discoveries and some photos. Many have been following my series on the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco, and I've been going there since I was a little boy. That's where the Exploratorium Science Museum used to be located. But of course, as a young kid, you don't really look at these types of things. I would like to make a short presentation, and I'm going to show some pictures that I've been finding. I'll be able to zoom in. I'll be able to adjust the contrast and the black and white a little bit. We're going to try to show what is being presented from 1964 as a newsreel to show the public that the building was completely torn down and then rebuilt using steel and concrete. But I wanted to touch on some of the very interesting details before I show anything. So if we're to understand this correctly, this was a property that was 635 acres, and we've seen the pictures that are directly from their exhibit on the grounds. They are telling us that they used mules and scrapers to move the muddy water to prepare the grounds for a very spectacular building. One of nearly 100 buildings that were built in less than 2 years, attended by possibly millions. And then after a 9-month time period, the entire area was completely wiped out with only the structure standing. So according to their story, it stood for 49 years, made of chicken wire, plaster, burlap, and wood. And then they decided to tear it down. Mm-hmm. I find no pictures of the facility or the grounds empty of the old structure from the air or from a distance or with any context of surroundings that would indicate that any pictures are actually legitimate. They're very close up, and it's difficult to make out the scale. And there are some problems with the shadows. Once again, the shadows. And I'm going to demonstrate also how easy it is to fake a photo.
We've got I've seen that. It's phenomenal. Do it easy.
Right. These guys are. I've got the quadruplet brothers observing the demolition. So we'll show him. And so let's dive into this and see if I can show you the video. And then we're going to examine what I believe are the props that were used to create this video.
So when they rebuilt it, wasn't it 1965, they say? Or is that?
That's right.
Right. And it took them 10 years, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's correct. And then
$2 million, I think, back then.
It was a large expense. But another thing we're missing is we're not seeing the photos or video of literally fleets of concrete trucks or an on-site concrete batch plant mixing concrete, then the legitimate filling of the very complicated molds. There's one photo that seems to show maybe some filling of the very, very bottom base columns. But again, it's a very tight shot and there's no context to the location. And I would like to see them filling the extremely complicated three-dimensional molds of the detail of the sculptures. And then I'd like to see how those molds could be removed, because they have all the appearance of being 3D printed, including the small pockmarks that would show up during that type of a production. So let me open up the YouTube video and we can watch that. It's only 50 seconds and let's listen straight through. The music is terrible and corny and all the sound effects are added. So recognize this is something that maybe someone would see one time in their life, and that was, it was over 50 years ago.
Exactly.
And so let's dive into that.
Just want to say, hey everybody, Curtis, what's happening? But man, good to see you. Of course, Shapu.
I want to make sure you can see my screen.
Yep.
Okay.
It's yeah, we've been having a little problems earlier, but you're rolling good.
Okay.
Don't see anything yet. Black screen. It's just a black screen right now. It's still.
This is from a very large subscriber channel. This was published 9 years ago, and this is what people will show to prove to you that it was torn down. Let's find out.
Nobody expected the Palace of Fine Arts to last for nearly half a century when it was built for San Francisco's Panama Pacific Exposition back in 1915. For though some parts of it were sturdy, most were of chicken wire, plaster, and wood. Now the wreckers move in to complete the destruction that time and the elements have been at through the years. But it won't be a loss of the beautiful and flimsy old landmark. A new rotunda, financed by the state, the city, and private contributions, will rise in its place near the Golden Gate, an exact replica in everything but materials. They will be of steel and cement, meant to last for centuries and never to come crashing to the earth.
So you can just see that's just garbage. So let's back up. Let's back up. So watch where the debris falls. It falls out of sight.
Will rise in its place near the Golden Gate, an exact replica in every.
Bring you right back here.
The years, but it won't be a loss of the beautiful and flimsy old landmark. A new rotunda, financed by the state, the city, and private contributions.
It falls right out of view, and the screen is very tight. It's very difficult to see anything else that resembles San Francisco in the background from any of these photos or any other photos. I would have liked to have seen, across the street, a big crowd of people there and a large building, because this building is the arch of the large building that goes around the semicircle is nearly a quarter mile long. I mean, this is a very, very large place. And then there was no excuse not to have airships, blimps, planes, helicopters overhead watching, but instead we get garbage.
Look how low the camera angle is too. It seems like it's lower than like a person would be there, just in that.
They're very close. Now let's look at this. Okay, so here is supposedly a close-up of the building, and this section, if it was attached to the building, would be about 120 feet off the ground, and it would be very difficult to zoom in, see, that type of detail. So when we go to this picture here, which I found in color, and I'm going to switch it to black and white, and then we're going to find that this blemish on the chest and that broken arm, the same. And then when we go to more of the imagery, here is the prop on some sort of a lot. There's unusual riveted materials. There's trees that aren't those kind. And then this is very unusual, but look at this. So here is the blemish and the broken arm on the ground, supposedly removed in,
I don't see the ground. All I see is the arm. Are you on the ground?
So maybe am I showing,
Okay, I
maybe
see your cursor now. Yeah. Okay.
was I able to show you, can you see can you see my photo editing program right now?
No, all I see is the arm still, the statue and the broken arm.
Okay. So it's possible I'm not doing full share screen and maybe only sharing that specific video. So I'm going to try to, I'm going to make sure that I'm doing it correctly. Just give me a second.
No problem. What's
Okay.
up, Face Diaper? Much love to you. He's going surfing, and in a few a week or so, next Wednesday, out of country.
I
Good
like
to
to
see
hear
you,
that.
man. Yeah, El Salvador.
Let's see if I'm actually now showing you. Can you see the props now?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to make sure everyone sees this. So this is the panel, and there's several photos that are showing um, these props. And when you take this photo and you put it into grayscale, now you're looking at what they just showed you in the movie.
Yeah, look at that.
And then I mean, these are portable toilets here on a back lot, and I wanted to show that there's a lot of, looks like lumber for construction back here. Um,
Skipped. Yeah.
so touchy, so touchy.
Yeah, it's very touchy.
So
Text sucks.
yeah, I went over here and I accidentally went to the different photo. But look at all the, so here are the fighting of the centaur, and here's the woman. But somehow they were able to remove it off the building. I mean, I didn't see the footage of that happening. I saw wrecking balls and things falling, and I don't know how they would take this down if that was the case. It looks like a poorly reproduced replica.
So they say they took that off and then replaced it after they built the new one. Is that what it says?
See, that's where it's getting interesting. There is no talk of disassembly for the purpose of creating a newsreel to show the public of how they tore it down. This seems to be found after the fact. So I'm finding what they were using to create that newsreel. I don't think that they had a camera on a 120-foot boom up in the high places of the palace to get those clips. It appears as if they made a terrible replica
Yeah.
to then, to show.
Looks very cheap.
Yeah, so it's not good. So here's another one. This is supposedly one of the very intricate detail of one of the column capitals on top of each large red vertical column. And I believe there are 16 of them. But not only are there 16 of these details on the structure, this woman is repeated on both sides of the capital column, so you can see it from many different angles. And I want to be able to show that in a little while to make that comparison. But I'd like to keep moving on with some of the other items I'm seeing. So these are some photos that are available while searching for the Palace of Fine Arts. And I want to zoom in here and I want to show you something. So this is supposedly mid demolition. And we have half a structure standing and there's no debris anywhere. And this is very difficult to get to. It's hard. I mean, you can walk into this, but getting vehicles into here, that's another story. And according to that newsreel, that boom for the crane throwing the wrecking ball was well above the structure.
Yeah.
But maybe we can see something down here, supposedly. But it doesn't matter what's in the photo. So supposedly this is a freestanding structure, half destroyed. Then here's the man. Here he is. He's observing. And that doesn't look like what we saw of the final building falling down in the video. So this is the last part of the structure apparently being pulled down, but the video showed a flimsy cardboard rotunda or something.
Yep.
So here's, in my opinion, the most important photo in the set. We're going to look at these vertical columns. First of all, this is supposed to be 160 feet tall. It's not. These,
You can blow it up a little bit too. Might have frozen up. See if he comes back. Hopefully. Let's go through the chat real quick. While that's he's been having little issues with the internet, so go back up here. Got Jen in the house. What's happening, Jen? Melted Inverted Realm. What's up? Thanks everybody for being here. Well, Kairos has a few difficulties, like I always have, and he will be back. Yeah, we are here talking about Palace of Fine Arts and the black and whites. Just like I've been to two main sites, coke ovens and a furnace, supposed furnace, and the black and whites are totally not the same place. It's they say it's abandoned. It's all bullshit. And this is a major one because they have video, and it's seeming like almost like the moon kind of landing deal in a studio. And he was showing me how to, or he can put that same person like it was just showing in Photoshop. You just stick it in there like flawlessly. And two of the pictures, and here he comes. Again, Face Diver. What's up, bro? Let's see. There you go.
Hi
You're
there.
back. You're back.
So I've been having internet problems, and I've been having dropped phone calls while I'm trying to talk about interesting things. So let me see if I can resume. I don't know, where did it drop out? Where was I on
You were on the half building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go right back to that. I'm going to go right back, right where I was. Okay. Are we back?
Yes, I see it.
Okay.
You're good.
All right. So I may have mentioned that these columns are currently intact. The capital detail is undamaged. And here's the panel that shows the men fighting the centaurs. And half the building's gone. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
So right here is supposedly a demolition vehicle with a boom that's over 160 feet tall with a wrecking ball and men right nearby. And this looks like a model. It looks too small. Yeah. But the building's still intact, and these columns are already damaged. The columns are wrecked. The capital detail is not to be seen. But this photo shows,
and no debris, like you said.
Half the building's gone. There's no debris. These columns are still fine. So this does not fit the chronological order of what we're being shown. So here we see a picture of the last remnants of the building falling. But after we watched the video of the demolition, the last pieces that fell was quite a bit larger and more material, and maybe half the rotunda. So here's the last pull down, and it doesn't look like what was in the movie. And we're going to get into some examination of the shadows too. I want to show you how easy it is to Photoshop. Watch.
I'm
watch
just saying
right.
that to the chat while you were gone. This is great.
Watch who shows up in this picture. Hi there. He's back.
Gone. Look at that.
That took me 2 minutes. So here's the next photo set that is found within the photographs on Google. So it appears to me is that this man is in exactly the same position as in this photo.
Yep.
So
and look at his pants leg too.
You got the shadow across his back. He's got very specific wrinkles.
Yep.
And his shadow is facing slightly to the right, and the sun is at his back. Now let's go back and see what's happening. So here he is again. The building is now fallen down. So time has passed. He is exactly the same place. He got the same shadows, same wrinkles, and apparently it didn't startle him in the least.
Yeah, he's just chilling right there.
Right, he's very close. I guess if the columns had fallen the wrong direction, it'd have hit him.
Yeah.
Because these are extremely tall. But here's where we're going to look at something a little interesting. Here's the shadow. How about this shadow? That's coming down from a different angle. That shadow is the shadow of the column. This is the shadow of a man. They're going different directions. And we've got anomalies back here with the big structure. Shadows maybe not as obvious at all. So there's been some changes here. And again, it's the closest, it's the close-up, it's a very close, tight shot.
Yeah, very close. All I'm thinking it is
other than likely something from the original building that has been added to the structure to look real. And this might be backdrop from a real photo, but obviously there's nothing else that indicates that you're really on the property other than broken stuff. Yeah. So this is where it gets fun.
Huge building coming down right there, and the guy.
How about this? How about that? Yeah.
See how easy that is. But so the guy's just standing there, right? And this huge building's coming down. He's just chilling.
Right. A few other photos that are found, and you can change them into black and white. But this one I found was very interesting. These, I don't know where these structures are supposed to have come from. These huge timbers that are on the outside, and here we've got collapsed components, strange shadowing again. But this section here may actually be so-called photoshopped from original photography. We don't know what they're capable of. I know what I'm capable of, and I can do these types of things relatively easily. Here's another photo. So this is it's very tight. There's no way to get a frame of mind or reference from anywhere you might be. But that's steel. Right. That's steel, all steel. Mm-hmm. These are girders. The guy said it was chicken wire. And the photos coming down, you know,
that's heavy steel right there.
That's wood. These are wood. These are photos of wood. So they're telling us it's
you talking wood. About in the picture behind the one you just came from was wood, or is that steel?
So I'm going to show you this right photo there. Here. So look at the girders in this building back here. A lot of girders. So here's the last photo of some of the what I'm calling props. So this here again, there's really no point of reference to determine that we're really on the property. This is a close-up of the very bottom, and it kind of looks like the mold, but it's very smeared in plaster, and they're telling us this stood for 49 years. Now, I don't know about everybody else, but I've got some wooden sheds and they're not looking great. And it has not been that many years, and it's not made of chicken wire or plaster or burlap. And this, these are, wood with metal roofs. It's just not the same.
Looks
So
like it has a
then,
name sticking out at it too, and a few pieces of that.
so very unusual. So here is this photo again of the top of the Capitol, of the columns, and I'm looking at them carefully. I want to look at them a little more, and just see what I'm going to see what I can get out of that. It's very interesting what I'm finding, and everyone has these available to them. I've got a couple more images that I think are going to be useful. Let me see if I can get to those. Am I still?
You're not sharing screen anymore.
I'm gonna invite anyone that's on the chat to ask a couple questions. Maybe you could field a couple questions. I need to look for one specific photo, and I'm gonna get it right now. Maybe while you do that.
Hold on. Let's see. Go here. I've been concentrating on you. Daryl, melted brown. Yeah, melted inverted brown says stage wood maybe. And now I got crap popping up on my screen.
Yeah, jeez. I had to restart the computer right before the stream, and I lost my presentation information. Okay, so I found what I needed, and I'm going to go back to sharing the screen, and I want everyone to take a look at what you're seeing. Take a look at what you're seeing here. So this is one of my very high resolution close-up photos from one of my trips. And we're going to look at, here's the woman on the other side, on this side, and this side. So there's three important features on each of the column capital. And here you can see the bottom, the red colored. But notice the pock marks. Notice all the pock marks in the mold. All the little divots. That seems to show up on very complicated 3D printing that's used today in the modern world. And I'm curious about that. But more interestingly is if these were remade, that means that someone would have had to set up extreme scaffolding over the original structure and actually take off molds. They would have to somehow get every detail to build this perfect, because the oldest pictures look just like this. All the oldest photos from the oldest books, there is nothing missing. But anyone that's done any mold work or seen any cast stone work, today what we see they're very simple molds, and they're usually in sections, and you can take them apart. But if you notice these waves, the detail, the leaves, these voids, these spaces that goes back behind, there's a space that goes right through and up the middle of the skirt, and it goes around every little detail. So I'm imagining what that mold would have looked like. So you've got that mold attached to the top of this column. Or are they saying that they brought them up in sections? But again, we're not finding those pictures. We're not finding the pictures of this type of work. And we're not seeing the molds. And the detail is extreme. It's extreme detail. And it repeats over and over again. So I'm very curious why we don't see any imagery of the molds being filled, why we don't see any imagery of the molds being removed carefully so as not to damage anything. And then who did that work? What was the company? And again, I'm thinking that in order to create the molds, if that is honestly what happened, that might have been the longest part of the project, maybe longer than the building itself. I mean, how are they making these? in the
Yeah,
early
I
60s.
mean, that's extreme. I mean,
And every one of them is identical. So they've got, there's 16 of these, and they're all exactly the same. And then when you go inside of the rotunda and you start looking at the detail of the structure internally, we're gonna find the ones we need right now, because I have a huge folder of all these images. So when we look at this work, it kind of has the resemblance of masonry. These sort of look like mortar lines. I don't know if that's true. I don't know what it's supposedly made of, but when you compare it to the oldest photos, you're not finding any different. It's the same.
it's the same. Yeah.
It's the same. And this geometry is extreme. This is a massive dome, and there's 8 massive arches, and there's 8 angels in there, and they are spectacular. Um, to see these things in person and to see them on a video, it's really, it's hard for me to explain
Yeah, just watching
how
that video,
massive this is.
columns are massive, like you're saying,
This
just
is
huge.
massive. So I found a book from 1916, maybe 1915. It was something that I found, digitized copy, archived copy from San Francisco Library. And it's showing something very important. And I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to find it. So, give me one moment, please.
You're all good, man.
Yeah, there's so many photos, and it's so hard to keep everything intact. So this is a direct scan from the book from 1916, the Palace of Fine Arts. The Palace of Fine Arts is a fireproof building of steel and concrete construction. So this is a big deal, because that's not what they said in the video, and that's not what they tore down, and that's not anything that makes sense. So they go further. There's much reading that can be done, and I wanted to try to keep this fairly short. I wanted to get everyone excited about what's actually in front of us. But
Yeah.
they not only talk about the construction being concrete.
Yeah, they look like wood and plaster, and
There's a lot. There's so much more in the descriptions. They mention marble, they mention metal, they mention all kinds of materials. And then when you start looking at the older images of the Pan Pacific expedition, you'll find that some of the other structures have the exact same columns and the material on top of the capitals. They borrowed it. And there's angels, and there's massive buildings that are way larger. And if you learn about what the Tower of Jewels was, it's one of the most fascinating shots from the expo itself. Supposedly illuminated, and it had tens of thousands of pieces of cut glass, and it was visible from everywhere. And you can see the photos. Everyone has seen the photos, and they know how to find them. But the main objective today was to show that their narrative is a lie. The buildings, the constructors, the ones that would have been handing out your brochure if you were attending, said concrete fireproof. And that's
it's not what we
not,
see.
it's not convincing. I know model work is very common in a lot of movies, to make a small building, make it look similar to what you're doing. I'm gonna try to see if I can find a couple more little photos. I'd like to take a couple questions first. Does anyone have a question about what I've seen, what I know? I do have a couple pieces that I found. I founded them. I eureka'd them. This is.
Do you have any of those pictures of the column at the bottom? Oh,
so
nice.
this is
nice.
So this is a small piece of
That's it. Yeah.
the palace that was laying around, and there's some junk. There's other junk. So when you get in close, they're black and they have a bubbling surface. And I'll show some microscope photos at another time. But I'm using I was using a very powerful magnet, and I seem to have there it is. It's stuck to the other piece. So this is a piece that was directly bonded to the internal steel structure.
And there was metal running all through it.
Yeah, you can see
your video.
You can see the magnet hangs on. But this was interesting. The opposite side appears to have applied plaster from a different time. And you can see it on the edge. You can see that's a different material. Different material. While the inside has this aggregate, which is very faintly magnetic. I don't know if I can get this to stick. It sticks on a couple little spots, but there is magnetism.
Yeah, a little bit.
In the aggregate. I've got it from hand.
Barely
but
hanging on.
It's very fine. But with my metal detector, I detect no metal. Zero metal.
Really?
So it's interesting. I have found other objects that magnets stick to, but the metal detector does not see metal. So, for example, I have two granite tile samples here. One of them is the one called Blue Pearl, which if you're like In-N-Out hamburger franchise, every countertop and to-go window in the restaurant franchise-wide is Blue Pearl granite. Very unique, very expensive. But the magnet sticks to it, though. The magnet sticks to that kind. And I have another one that's red granite. It sticks to that as well. But the metal detector finds no traces of metal. So we're starting to ask questions about what these components really are, how they're assembled. You know, we're told that granite is solidified lava. It came in as a flow. But it looks more like what you'd see if you zoomed in on a brick or concrete or grout or geopolymer, plaster, whatever you want to call it, man-made stuff. It's all the little particles of a variety of sizes. When you zoom in, it just looks like a close-up of concrete with its aggregate, except on the micro scale. So granite has that look too. And granite is extreme construction, and we're seeing massive granite blocks as foundations all over the world. That seawall at Fort Point, which is actually visible from the Palace of Fine Arts, that one has an 1,800-foot megalithic seawall, 50 feet tall, repeating polygonal identical blocks, 6,500 pounds each, metal between the joints. Very suspicious. Were they brought from China in the bottom of a boat, as the park rangers will tell you right to your face? Were they poured in place? Or were they taken from the nearest quarry, which is 120 miles away? So all within sight of the World Fair grounds. And what's unique about San Francisco, I don't want to change the subject too much, but what's very unique, 3 World Fairs, 1 city.
Yeah.
Each one's maybe a couple miles from each other. You've got the 1894 Midwinter over there in what's currently called Golden Gate Park. And there's massive concrete structures, which are incredible. Some are still there. Then they move over to the 635 acre at the Marina District for San Francisco, Pan Pacific. And then after that, these guys, they had to build an island for the next one. So then we go in 1939, questionable economy, questionable conditions, possible wars and all these things. But these guys needed to celebrate the opening of the Golden Gate Bridge, so they built an entire island in 9 months. Then they built the entire World Fair in less than 2 years, and a bunch of people showed up, and then they tore it all down except for a couple things.
Yeah,
Couple
just a couple.
things left. And the statuary that's still there on display is the similar styling as what's found in all the panels around the exterior of the palace itself. So I find it interesting that these guys were able to do such incredible work. The bridges were not built yet. Automobiles are in their infancy, carrying tiny loads. And they show you in the picture they were even using mules. So they might have had steam power, they might have had vehicles or whatever, but apparently mules were still better.
They're very
Don't know
popular.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of any of that. So,
Do you think they even had a fair here at the Palace of Fine Arts, the exhibition? Do you even think there was anything there as far as people coming back then? What was it, 1909 or
so
what was the? Do you know the date?
it was 1915. But
Okay,
this is why. But the thing, it's very unusual because San Francisco had some problems. They had some big problems, according to their narrative. And you go back to 1906. So we look at some of these pictures, and most of the city is completely wasted and scraped clean, and buildings obliterated with the diagonal saw marks through them. And then somehow, after lobbying and hoping to be able to host this World Fair, they got the nod. So these guys not only rebuilt all of San Francisco, then they had enough time and energy and resources to build this World Fair.
Yeah.
Seems very unlikely. There are plenty of photos of the property. There's very good ones, and there's some video, archive film, but it is visible. You can see a lot of the property. But there's some other content creators that are doing excellent work, and they're
Yes.
showing more. One of the subscribers has shown that they had a land map that they were presenting as real, but it was actually like a diorama. This was a model, and they're trying to show you what the area looked like before they broke ground for the fair, and it looks like something out of that Thunderbird puppet cartoon. It's very hokey, not believable, and
There's a lot of people out there actually showing these black and whites, or like you're saying, old world explorations. There are a few other ones that's showing these postcards that doesn't match up, and it was from the time when they even were supposedly building it. It's so contradicting on all these black and whites and the postcards or whatever, and they're not matching up.
I'm gonna open up my little slideshow, and I'm gonna just blast through some photos just
Go for it.
just to let everybody see this. So I wanted to talk but before I do that, little psychology. So we've heard about cognitive dissonance, and most people don't like it. It's very irritating when you hear something that goes against what you thought was true, what your loved ones told you was true, what you saw presentations on the media, and you believed it was true.
Yeah.
So the first reaction when that type of a scenario enters your mind is you want to reject it and maybe run.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas over the last 10 years, I've just been embracing all of it. It bugs me.
Yeah.
But then we have a dilemma. So if I show photos and history that conflicts with the current narrative, if you have cognitive dissonance, you've got to make a choice. It's either I'm a liar, or it's true. Or
Yeah.
it's true. And if it's true, would you like to know why we've been told lies? And if we've been told lies on something as simple and innocent as a building like this, and this doesn't really undo or harm anyone, but bigger stories where there's world events happening, things on the world scene, on the world stage, the war theater, the theater of war. And then they'll show us photos of this is what happened. Here's some bombs falling out of some plane somewhere. Here's this place. And here's some guy, and here's some story. And then we start thinking about the logistics to build the World Fair. Pretty amazing. But who's talking about the logistics to move your entire armed forces across the nation and stage and have fuel and have food and do everything that you need to do while everyone else is at home making airplanes? But it's very difficult because, see, here we're in a very difficult place to do these challenges. It's hearsay now. There's no one alive that can verify. You can't interview a person, hey, what did you think about that? It's like they're either so old that they don't remember or they're just dead. I mean, you think about how old you would need to be to start remembering something to where it's stuck in your mind, to where you could maintain that memory for your entire life and then call out the fine details.
Yeah, you can.
60 years later. So enough time has passed that this has kind of slipped into, it's an accepted fact that this is a leftover junk building that was abandoned for almost 50 years. And then they decided, we've got a lot of money and we've got a lot of time and we're going to tear it down and rebuild it in secrecy. But none of the details were left out. Why is the building covered in swastikas?
Exactly.
The mid-60s, nobody liked swastikas in the mid-60s. Not good.
Yeah, that's what we're told.
Not good. And so it's all there. And then they've got these details. I feel sorry for that poor guy fighting that centaur. This is a clear warning. Don't fight a centaur.
Bad move. Bad move.
That guy's getting stomped.
But we see today, man, changing of words, changing of chapters of books, everything just in our lifetime. Go through all the examples, but there's many that we see now that they change stuff all the time. So even back then, what were they saying? And it wasn't like there was this internet and everything, and none of those people are alive. So yeah, it's really easy. And I guess it's just really hard for a lot of people, like you said, run from what we're finding, and we want to do the opposite. Why do you want to just live a lie? It's not fun. So
yeah, it's very questionable. I don't really know what to expect when I'm seeing these things. So let's look at a few images and try to keep this right at an hour. So this is a supposed panorama. So here's your Tower of Jewels, which looks to be twice the size of the Palace of Fine Arts. I understand there was 11 major buildings, and we're going to look at some of these. You notice here, Alcatraz has already got something going on. That's another whole adventure. So we see some more details, more structure. Huge. This is a very large building. I find this one particular photo very interesting. How about all these battleships right offshore?
Yeah, that's what I was noticing. Yeah, look at that.
These guys getting ready to take the whole place down. Is that how they took it down? Is that how they did it? Be pretty fast. So then here's another amazing colorized photo. So it shows the black and white of the hills. So this is 2 years. I think I might have lost you.
2 years, huh?
Okay. So this is supposedly a 2-year build. And this is swampland. But I've been down here plenty of times, walking around the area. So here's one of the non-colorized. But you can just see that here's little tiny columns, and the people are there's really I don't even see any people in this particular.
Yeah, I don't really see any people.
And, do these look like they're made out of paper mache, burlap?
Nope.
Does that look like that would have any trouble standing? And look at the size of it.
Yeah.
It's huge. So I'm very suspicious. So here we get one of their photos from the Palace of Fine Arts grounds at one of their placards that you can look at as you walk around. And you'll notice that in these images, all the details of these panels are the same. All the poses and postures of the statues are the same. The number of pieces, the look, every one of these women that are standing on the very top are all exactly identical in every way, shape, and form. So I don't know how many identical molds they think they may have had to do that. I don't know that. It's very strange. Here's the mules. So this is what they have out front. Mules dredged the lagoon, but kept the shoreline intact. Yeah, it's incredible. So this is part of the 2 years. Mules first, then you got this just bang it up. So this is why I'm wondering why we don't have a photo of this entire building missing from the property or being torn down, because this is you can see just the shell of some of the last remaining. The layout, the grid is well established.
Yep.
Very incredible. It's a very large property. It's 635 acres, but yet, why don't we have a photo of this lagoon with this building missing or in the middle of construction? I
Yes, in the 60s, 65.
And then that would also include, so if this is all concrete, so imagine this entire road with just cement trucks waiting to come in. Because I had a conversation with someone at the palace quite a long time ago, and he was a concrete man. And I was chatting with him about, how do you bid this? How much concrete is this? So you can clearly see that there's more underground. It goes down, and there's a lot of this mold repeats over and over again. You can see into the column, but it's absolutely massive. Look at the puny people, and we're not even seeing. So here's this, swastikas.
Yeah, and they're going to put that in 65, right? Swastikas.
Perfectly fine. So on the outside of the building, between every arch is these intricate capitals on top of the columns, and here you can see the woman peeking her head around, and it's the same, and they're wonderful. And the imagery, look at this incredible detail that you see. If anyone's in the area or thinking about visiting, I cannot suggest it stronger. This one here I thought was wild. If you've watched Praveen Mohan and his topic on the Nagas, the snake people, seven-headed snake, there's seven something, maybe.
Always seven, right?
There's always something. And so look at this, look at that. How long would it take to make that mold? I mean, what would you make it out of in 1964? What would that be made out of? And how would you take it off without ruining it? And that's one piece.
These are the most intricate and huge.
How about this?
You can see right these columns.
It looks like it's blowing in the wind or underwater, and then it creates some cavities. A mold had to go through there.
Yeah.
A mold had to go through. And it's just spectacular. Here, let's talk about the melt. So this area here looks kind of charcoaly. Only a couple of sections of the building
scorched
have significant damage, and you'd think they power wash it or something, but no. So keep going.
Yeah, that's what, 35, 40, 50. See, what is that? 50 years old, 60. See, 75. They finished it, right? Supposedly. So,
I don't even know. Who knows?
So 50 years.
I hate to even say it. I hate to even say it out loud. It just makes me feel crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So I'm noticing that I'm going to get to these panels right now. I'm just going to keep rolling through all the incredible things. There are 8 panels, and there's one that repeats 4 times, and the other ones repeat twice. So there's 4 of this one, so maybe the most important one. We've got men trying to overcome giant centaurs. Guy's getting stomped. Doesn't like it. Let's keep moving. I want to show you the rest of them because,
Or swastikas.
okay, this is in the very center of the rotunda. It's a tribute to Lucasfilm Foundation. And if you notice this medallion, okay, that's a Titan. That's a Titan, and he's opening up the Golden Gate Strait, and the city's inside. And that's a boat. That's like a 4-stacked steamer coming in.
Yeah, look how small that boat
the
is.
Tower of Jewels, domed building, possibly Palace of Fine Arts, in the center of the rotunda. And here they're showing you that. So why? This one has caught my eye. Do you remember this?
Yes.
So there's an urn on top of the entire perimeter. There's 16 of them. They include griffins. They include structure. Looks like a Eiffel Tower or some kind of a antenna. Don't know.
Yeah.
This is again another mold, but these were not visible until recently. They're 160 feet in the air, and they're hard to see. And so when I had my really nice zoom lens, you can get in here and you start reading that it's Latin, and that's XXX111. That's what was that, 33?
33.
Then there's a mention of Herod. That's a Herod. Herod is mentioned. And there's more. I'm trying to get a translation, but I've been a little busy for that. But here's a winged griffin.
Wow. Those things are massive, too.
They're very huge, and they're up on top. Look at this detail here. You can see more. So one of my commenter subscriber had done a little bit of translating, and they are determining that it might have been a fertility temple. This Maternus over here, maternity. There are women around the entire structure. It's pretty amazing. I'm not sure what they were trying to do. This, so I'm looking at these and I'm having kind of a new idea on the exterior. These little crackings, it's almost as if they used some sort of an application of really terrible plaster over the existing.
Right.
Because it looks like junk, but the earlier photos, not so much looking like junk. But this is a tremendous effort to build this type of statue. All the structure is solid concrete, and this is supposedly solid concrete too. So we start looking into the details of it. I'm noticing that this guy looks almost startled, and let's see, this one here maybe looks startled, and this is actually, believe it or not, that's a woman. It's not a man. That's woman part. So that's so there's these huge lion faces. This one here, see the startled look?
Yeah.
What's it afraid of? Did you get caught off guard and turned into stone? No one knows.
No. It's looking left and down or right and down. Yeah.
So this was a fun day. So I got the moon there. But so you're seeing there's 4 of these, but look at the detail all around. And the shells. Here's the urns, completely invisible and unreadable to anyone on the ground. So why they would go to such extreme measures to produce something that cannot be enjoyed by anyone?
You have to get way out from it and zoom in like that with your camera to even see it. Yeah.
So here's one of the other panels, and I'll show you. And the last one, I'll end my presentation on when I find it. So this one has chariots, people, the wreaths. They're doing something important, and it's included twice on the structure. This one is 4.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone wants to reminisce about what that might feel like, not good. Not good.
No, it's terrible.
Let me find. Okay. I might have a better image of this, but everyone needs to see this. Okay, that's a guy. That's a man
Oh, yeah. Yep.
being held in the hand of these titans. And this is some sort of a, I don't know, fertility temple, population center. Who knows? Who really knows what was going on here? But they've got a winged horse also. That's a Pegasus. But people wanted to see where I saw the person being held by the Titan.
Yeah, it's an incredible shot right there. What do you think? So compared to that little person, 40, 50 feet or
I'm
less?
thinking a lot. Thinking that guy. That's like he's like if you open your hand up, that guy is the length of your tip of your finger to your palm compared to your entire body. So I don't know what that would.
Yeah, I don't know what
work out. Let's see if I can get something better. But look at this incredible work. So I don't know what went on. Now you can see the sections where it's been grouted.
Yeah.
Now I don't know why it's like that.
Yeah, it is weird.
I don't know if it was butchered in place and made to look like panels. I'm not really sure. The earlier ones and the earliest photos don't seem to have the segments. But here, look at it. Here's a better shot of a guy. Look at this guy. It's like I just got born. He's got his arms in the air, and
Yeah.
This guy just got introduced onto the world stage from these superheroes.
Yeah, huge giants.
So look at
Are
that.
you going to talk about the paintings or that were there and then they're not now?
Yeah. Let me. I don't have those photos right in front of me. I'm gonna show you this rotunda with all this incredible material, and I'm gonna take a second when I'm done and just show what was included in the earliest photos. Now have a look at that. Look at that geometry.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So what I've seen in the photos, these are they're maybe like 20 to 30 feet wide. Yeah, they're huge. Mm-hmm. And so there's 8 of them, and they go all in a circle. These were all murals.
Yep.
These were incredible murals depicting battle scenes, historical scenes, productivity, daily life. But again, mostly focusing on the women in those oldest murals. Mm-hmm. This is the very center of the rotunda, and you can see some segments. And this looks like it was completely sprayed with some sort of
oh yeah, look at that. Yeah.
As well as all the sections in between sprayed. Mm-hmm. So I would love to go. Right, I'll get a man lift. I'll get a scissor lift, and I'll just show up, and I'll go up in there with my hammer and see if I can find the mural, and then I'll go right to jail after that. But at least
I'll bail you out. I'll bail you out
if you wouldn't mind. So these angels, there's 8 angels. One of them is headless. I don't know exactly what we're seeing here, but it does appear to have some sort of heavenly oversight, direction from the spirit realm, and possibly the creation of people. We don't really know. We don't know. But what an amazing place. Let me stop again, and I'm going to find that special image and in that very early book. It's going to say the mural detail. Why don't you see if I saw your comment, Melanie. I'm on this crappy webcam, and that's why I'm like right up in here, so you guys can even have a chance at hearing me. I'm going to work it out.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So if you see any questions that someone would like to have an answer to, I'll be on for 3 or 4 more minutes, and then I'm gonna call it a night.
Yeah, man. We were gonna cut this one just your show. You're showing all of this of the Palace of the Arts and what a BS story and the black and whites It's one of my favorite things now, showing black and whites that are just totally hogwash, not matching up anything, and the years and everything like that. And I'm into it now just because of what I've seen, and now you've seen, and places we go, and it's nobody looks at that. Nobody looks at it. They just see a black and white or two, and they're like, okay, this is a story. So
most people, they do not have time to
right.
entertain this type of thing.
Yeah.
They simply do not. Okay, I think I found what I need. I just found what I need. Give me 1 second, and I'm going to come back on. We'll do a little show and tell, and then I am going to have a nice big piece of pizza.
Heck yeah.
Okay, here we come.
Yeah. Let's see. Melly says she's looking at your nose hairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's had a little speaker problem, so he's got to talk close to the computer.
Let me find my image. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So this is an early photo. 162 feet. The construction is steel and concrete, fireproof. The exhibits consist of the best production of foreign American artists, not only paintings and sculpture, but tapestries, jewelries, mosaics, inlays, carvings, and fabrics such as laces and rugs are exhibited. Pretty fantastic. So this is a very early photo, and it says steel and concrete, not burlap. Here's another image. You see all of the details are proper. So that one that has the 4-time repeat, then we have the other ones mixed in between. And it's easy to get the point of view and see this is the same building from this lagoon, from the opposite side of a lagoon. Here's some of the other, these are still here exactly like that. The only thing I've seen is a couple toes are broken off. Other than that, look at the size.
Yeah, it's huge.
So this is supposed to be a construction photo. But as we know, and it's very poor quality, so they've got really high resolution when they want it, but this one not so much. So we've got questionable, very uniform scaffolding, no workers, building already up, completely assembled. So maybe they're cleaning, maybe they're washing, maybe some repairs, but that's the amount of, I mean, you would need more scaffolding on the inside just to work on taking the molds and getting all the details correct, because this is a scale model. There were other statues that have been removed and pedestals on the grounds. This is a photo from someone's private family collection of the exposition itself. Nice panorama.
Nice.
Here we go. Here we go.
Here it is. Yep.
Look at these murals. Look at the geometry. It's the same. And looking at this, does that maybe resemble the moon to you?
Yeah, I was just noticing that. I'm like, well, wait a minute, what's in the middle there?
Maybe. So each one of these has a very unique, feminine-centric scene. And the scrolling and the detail and the shapes are identical as my personal photos.
Mm-hmm.
How about this here? Look at this. Look at this warrior princess on horseback in the middle of the rotunda dome. That is a woman fighter. Yep. And here we have more details in the incredible murals.
Yeah.
So I wonder if the murals were covered, plastered over, or are they still there? So here's another photo. Let's end it right here. It wasn't half torn down. Mm-hmm. It wasn't freestanding. It wasn't made of paper and plaster and burlap. It says it's made of concrete and steel, and in at least 2 publications that are contemporary with the fair, possibly given to those that may have been attending. If they tried to tell them that it was plaster and burlap. I mean, if you told me that it was plaster and burlap now, we'd just take out my hammer and have a chat. It's not that. It's solid concrete, and it's the most amazing, flawless concrete with specialty aggregate. The color is very uniform. Modern concrete today, it's very difficult to get uniform concrete. Take a walk down the sidewalk sometime. After you've
Right.
gone about 20 feet, you've got about 20 different shades.
Yeah.
This was specifically designed to mimic the color of travertine marble, and I think they may have applied, like I mentioned, an exterior plaster coat, and that does fit with that sample that I have that has plaster over. But the
Can
the
you
earlier,
zoom in on that real quick? Old World Exploration, wants you zoom in on that one, I believe. Yeah.
I might have a better one. That's about as good. This is a very old photo, but you
Yeah.
notice these all these columns, everything is the same. The number of columns, the location, and it's built in a swamp.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to pull down the pants of our wonderful engineers, our building people, the people that get paid the largest amounts of money to build infrastructure in our world. This building survived the 1989 earthquake while
Right.
standing in a swamp. Even if it was rebuilt in concrete, and it is concrete, and it didn't collapse. The Marina District of San Francisco was subjected to severe liquefaction and damage. This is right in that very region, and it's freestanding.
Yeah.
There was freeways that fell down and collapsed and pancaked all throughout the city and killed people. They could not stand. They were right near the ferry building. The ferry building, it's fine. Also 1906 fine, and it's not even built on land. It is built over the water.
Yeah.
It's built over the water. The freeways fell down and killed people. These guys
Exactly.
don't know how to design concrete structure that can stand. This is taller than those freeways. This is
Oh, yeah.
162. It's 162 feet tall.
Right.
Yes,
And I mean, that's etched in my memory too, those bridges falling.
that's right.
in that, you know.
That's right. And I was living in the area when it happened, and I was 60 miles away, and it was pretty strong and scary. 1989. Okay, how about 4 minutes of questions, and then we're going to see you on the next one.
Yeah. Thanks so much, everybody, for being here. But any questions?
As I can see, I see the chat. I
That's
see.
incredible stuff. That's incredible stuff, Kairos. I loved it. That as soon as you put that video out, man, especially looking at the bottom of that column, and then it got me looking up the narrative and all that, and it's the most crazy stuff ever as far as the narrative and why would you build something like this after you built it, and then now you're going to make it all this concrete and whatever else, and this huge. It makes no sense. And the money spent and the people and the whatever. It's just incredible how much they can fake stuff, which is you showed is really easy with putting in people anywhere like they have in the same guy on those two pictures. So great stuff, man.
So I've got one more. I got one little bonus.
Bring it on.
People always they're always looking for something. So I've been a real big fan of numerology, gematria, mathematics, codes, formulas, patterns, all the time. And so I'm always looking for new and interesting things. Got to figure it out. So this narrative destroying disclosure title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Enter that into the gematria calculator if you dare. The very first line item, and I'm going to show it to you, and then I'm going to say bye-bye. But we're going to look at that right now.
Yeah, love the title, Kairos.
So let's see if I'm.
So
what do I? Last chance. I think I pushed the wrong button again. What's wrong with me? Share screen.
Yeah, Old World saying he would like to see that central, that circle in the middle of the building, like maybe moon, like you were saying. I don't know how he's. Right. Is there any pictures of that you saw, or?
Can you see that?
Yes, you're in.
Okay. So this is a narrative destroying disclosure, which equals 2352, along with a lot of other things. But the first line item, people will need time to believe it.
Huh.
And I was happy with that, because that fits with the, the cognitive dissonance. You need time.
Yep.
You need time.
Bullseye on that.
It's either, once again, the narrative's true, or we're just all liars. And
right.
Yeah, I'm making stuff up, and I'm the one that's doctoring the photos, not somebody else. I'm the one that's causing trouble. But let's Photoshop. People talk about Photoshop, and it's so new, and they didn't have that. It's like wrong. Photoshop is a slang for the darkroom. These guys have been cutting negatives and overlaying and scraping and adding and drawing since the very beginning, and we see it over and over and over again. So
probably had AI back then doing some of this stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
As far as the narratives and all the fakery, as far as really all of it.
So the narrative is so well woven, and they try to cover all their bases, and it was for a time period when people didn't have computers and they didn't have the ability to record. So we saw that little propaganda reel of them taking the building down.
Yeah.
If you saw that one time during your life, that might be it. I mean, people were not using VCRs yet. And now, so the internet, they gave us too much, didn't they? They made too much. That was their mistake. So now we got them. So but they might take it away. We don't know.
Yeah, that's
Mark,
one thing.
Thank you very much for hosting today.
Man, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Had some good conversations, and I appreciate the ones that are here listening in and paying close attention. I'm going to have some more presentations on this subject and others, and I sure enjoy it when people comment. That's where we learn these things. We learn together. And sometimes an idea might sound completely ridiculous, completely wild, to be discarded, but it might make you think of something that's true. And then you start to dive in, something you never would have thought of, something that came from a source not your own. And so I value my commenters, the ones that are here. You're all thinking people. Something has changed in your life to where you would like to look a little deeper, and you're not really so sure about the story being told. I know I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
So let me just ask yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you so much again, and thank you for everybody for coming. And like you said, all these just free thinkers, and just looking at detail of everything and not being scared and of what everybody else thinks, your family, whoever. Like you said earlier, it takes time for some people. It just and they do. Some people won't ever want to look at anything really, but I've seen firsthand around me, people do start asking more questions. And hey, what was that? And after a couple of years seeing, say, my stuff on whatever, Facebook or something, hey, what was that? What are you talking about? So a lot of people are kind of drifting that way, and I know it's because of it started about 3 years ago, kind of for more people, and now see what the state of this whole realm is in now, and it's taken off. And just ask questions, which we should have been doing all along. Anyway, Thank you so much, Kairos, for coming on, man. Okay. Excellent, killer evidence. Love it.
Thank you. But everyone, please keep in mind, this is just one World Fair. The other two in San Francisco have the same story. Chicago, same story. All of them. There's so many. They're in all the cities. They're all over the world, and it's the same story every time. Built by a tiny population, impossible logistics. difficult materials to work with, built in 2 years, attended by millions, destroyed immediately.
Yeah.
It's
Always
a worn out story. But if you think about the people that were living back in that time, they may never leave their hometown their entire life. They'll hear a little something here and there about some other thing. They'll hear a little story in the news. They'll see a little snippet or a clip. They're not going to go look. They're not going to investigate. They don't have the internet. They can't scour for photos. They can't get in there and reverse image location to find the place where it was taken. They cannot use contrast and negative image filterings to dive into some of the lost details of the photography. And we have those tools, and we're gonna use them, and I think it's ramping up. There's a lot of people that are showing this information, and the information I showed today is not new. Many have shown. Some in the chat have shown these items, and I appreciate it. And I thank everyone for being here. And one last comment that I will give before I say goodbye, and I am Kairos. My name is Kairos, and I would like to tell you what Kairos means for those that do not know. It's the moment when a thing happens to accomplish a will. And it specifically is a biblical word that normally applies to when God finishes his will. That's a Kairos. You can be Kairos too. All you have to do is when that moment arrives for you to reach your goals, to find the information you're looking for, to meet the people that you love, to do the things that are important. Take the time to do it. Make it your Kairos moment. When something happens, which is fantastic, and you're just hoping it would happen, don't be too busy. Pull over on the side of the road. Call somebody and tell them, I'm going to be there later. Go do it. Be Kairos.
Yeah.
Everyone. Thank you so much, Mark. And I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see some more of the amazing things that you're working on. And I know you that. Would you give us a little teaser onto your trip, please?
Yes. You said that. So next Thursday, I'll be in Huntsville. I'm going to this place. It's called Three Caves in Huntsville. Man, the ceilings are just huge. It's got to be 40, 50 feet high. Now they have put a fence in front of it in 2006. So you can walk around the top, but me and my son are going. I'm going to jump the fence. I watched a couple of videos. People do that, and they actually have concerts there. But you're not supposed to go in unless they have these small concerts that you can go in then, but it's for your safety. But anyway, they call it Three Caves, but it's actually a supposed mine. So huge squares, three caves, mines, whatever. But it's really funny that they call it caves, but they're mines supposedly. But yeah, I'm going to check that out next Thursday. So hopefully I'll be on with some evidence for that. Really looking forward to that. Huge place.
Very good. So would you rather that I go to Alcatraz or back to Sutro Heights?
Man, I really want you to go to Alcatraz.
There's a melted brick avalanche over there. But I want to go underground at Alcatraz. I've got about 20 hours of map work, and I've looked at a zillion photos. And get this, it's great.
It's whatever you feel, but man, I've been hell bent on you going to Alcatraz for real. Man, I know that place has got to be stuff, especially the underground.
There's many layers, and it was supposedly built in the 1850s and abandoned, old Civil War, and there are amazing things. But to get there, you have to take the ferry from Pier 33. The only way to get there.
Like I was saying, I see 33 everywhere.
No one knows.
They're new.
Take us out of here.
Great stuff, everybody. Thank you so much, and we will see y'all soon at some point. Love everybody. Much love.
Thank you.